Yeah, it's mindset cafe, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin, and we have our lovely co-host of the Friday Night Lives, Nicholas, back.
You're back.
Nicholas is back, not Nicholas back. But so I know last week we did I did a live with you guys, and it was a lot of Q&As, and I want to make sure that we're still implementing that on this episode as well. So remember that if anything you have related to the episode topic, which is what we worry about today, is it really going to matter in the long run? And if you have any situations or any personal experiences or any questions relating to the topic, like, make sure you throw it in the comments, because that is why we do the lives, is we want to interact with you guys. If you guys have any other mindset topics or anything, feel free to throw those into the comments as well, because you never know where our tangents will lead us. As you guys already know, we kind of stray off course a few times, but that's all right.
It's part of the journey.
Exactly. The journey is never a straight line, But going into today, the topic is, will the worries, will the fears, will the anxieties of today matter in the long run? Do they matter, right? Are we worrying for no reason, or do our worries have, validity? So why is it that we worry so much in the present? And the easiest way to explain it is because our brains are wired to basically have fight or flight. Why, right? Our brains are supposed to tell us when there's danger, and if we need to start trying to solve a problem, and to keep us on edge, because at the end of the day, our brain is trying to protect us and keep us safe. But is our brain overworking and making us too safe, too comfortable, and not taking risks that we need to take to allow growth and potential growth to happen? So let's dive into it today.
Yeah, I think going off of that, what we tend to do is, I guess, overthink things. I think when we overthink, any situation, that's when our brain kind of goes ballistic, in the sense of, like, it's taking something small or something that, at the moment, like if you forgot to do something, or, there's something that you're kind of trying to accomplish, or that you need to do. And especially when there's a time frame involved in it, I think our brain tends to automatically kind of overthink it, like, is the most simplest way I can put it. It overthinks as to, like, oh, I need to get this done, or, like, how am I going to get this done? When in reality, in most cases, if you take a step back and just reanalyze things, I think, when you break things down a little bit more, your brain kind of gets a chance to more logically think about things.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it's one of those things where what we're talking about today, it's not just about, let's say, the worries of the unknown. Like, some things you already know, right? So, like, let's say there's a deadline at work, and now you're anxious, and now you're worried about this dreading, upcoming deadline, or you have a conflict with, a friend, a family member, and now you're worried about how that's going to play out in tomorrow, in a week, in a year. And so those stresses start to have weight, and, will start to impact the rest of our day. And some things, even like, financial stresses, like bills that are coming up, or an unexpected bill, right? So everything that we're talking about, it's full circle. So I'm sure that you guys have had some form of stress that has basically sat on your mind and kind of gave you a cloudy perspective on life and on anything that you're doing. Let's say you're out with your family, and you can't stop thinking about the deadline with work. You're out with your family, or you're at work, and you can't stop thinking about the conflict that you had with your wife or your husband, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend that morning, right? Those are still the worries, still the anxieties that we're talking about today, right? So how does your perception change with problems or of problems over time? And you have to realize that think about a year ago, think about, 5 years ago, the problems that you were facing then. And it's funny because like I was actually talking to one of our potential franchisees about this similar topic the other day, and your problems in your busy season, your stressful season of life of your year wasn't the same as it was a year ago, wasn't the same as it was 5 years ago, right? You still had a stressful time. You still had a quote unquote busy season then, where the problems that you were faced with in that day and age felt like, 1,000 pounds. But if you were faced with those same problems today, you'd be like, oh, that's light work, right? So you have to realize that the problems that you're facing now are no different than the problems that you faced before. You can still overcome these problems. You have the tools, you have the skills, and if you don't, then you just have to find the resources or find the people that you need to connect with so you can solve those problems. But it doesn't mean that you need to have it weigh on you and basically make the rest of your day dreadful because of this one thing, this one event, right?
Yeah, like that time aspect of it plays a major, if not like the determining factor of what we're so worried about. Because just like you said, things that we worry about or things that we may perceive as like a big problem right in the moment, given just enough time for you to again like analyze and break things down, it gives you more opportunity to come up with solutions. And then if you were to look again like a year later on, if you were to look back on it, things that you were so worried about or what the problems were, just thinking about that process itself, it's like what happened pretty much between the time that I was so worried about it when the first whatever it is first came up, from the time that it stopped being a problem or stopped being a worry, is the time in between that you pretty much found the solutions, or you were able to kind of work around it or find the solutions to it. That, and then now it's not even your worry. Now you have new worries like a year ahead. So in the same concept, it's like when you're in the present, we can't seem to fathom, or we can't wrap our brain around I think it's a lack of options, I guess, in a way too. It's like we haven't had enough time to explore and find the different options of solutions just because it had just come up. You know what I mean? That I think that's where I think fear too, like fear and the word, you are afraid when you're worried about something or you're trying to solve a problem. It's like we feel the fear or the worry when we have a lack of options, right? When we don't know like the different things, because we don't know how to solve that problem yet.
Right.
But given enough time, because within that time, you're able to find the resources that you're able to utilize to come up with that solution.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I've been like this, like at least since college, and it always kind of like made me laugh when like you see other like students and stuff like stressing and cramming right before, like they're literally standing at the door of the class and they're literally just staring at the book, and it's like, what are you going to learn in the next 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Like if you can't, in my opinion, like if you can't change the outcome right this second, there's nothing that you can do to change the outcome. Why stress about it? Right? You got other shit to do. You got other worries to deal with. So it's like if I can't physically do anything to solve the problem right now, I just don't even worry about it.
Yeah,
right?
and I think with that example, and then this is a separate topic of its own, which I'm sure we covered it before, the whole preparation thing. But like if you're worried about a test or like an interview or some kind of evaluation, right? It's like you feel that stress or that worry, maybe because you didn't allow enough and sufficient time to be prepared for that situation when it comes up. You know what I mean? And then given that, and I get it, like in the moment, again, you could still be stressed and worried, but the amount,
Right.
like if we were to put a quantifiable value for each thing that we're worried about, like how much are you worried about it? Is your worry like at a maximum 10? Is that a 2? Because I'm sure like if you like studied if those kids studied for their test and was well prepared, you know what I mean? Like their worry level or their stress level wouldn't be as high as it was if, like the kids that are just probably like first time opening the book and trying to read it right on the spot.
Yeah. No, I mean, you still have those kids, are like those people that like study and they are prepared, but then they continue to study afterwards, like right before, and then they start getting so nervous that they end up messing up because you've let this overwhelming like sense of the event, kind of cloud your judgment. Like, it, just relax.
Yeah.
Right. So preparation is key, like we've talked about before. But like I was saying, in terms of if I can't do anything right now about it, then I don't worry about it. I mean, honestly, that's truly just how I kind of am. Like, there's too many things to do in the day. There's too many people to talk to in the day. There's too many things to do for the business in the day. It's like, if there's nothing I can do about it, then why stress about it? We cross like Nick already knows, I say this saying all the time, like, cross that bridge when we get there. And then, he'll ask me like, well, what if this? I don't know. Cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Right. And as frustrating as that could be to someone else, like, that's how you have to kind of live your life. Like, cross the bridges as they come, cross the obstacles as they come. Like, live by the rule of 5, like 5 by 5, right? If it's not going to affect you in the next 5 years, like, if this thing isn't even going to be a significant event in your life in 5 years, then don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. Right? Because now you have to realize, like, you have other things to do to continue on your journey to success, or to continue on your journey of improvement in any area, that you shouldn't be wasting your most precious thing in life, which is your time, on something that isn't going to matter in the long run.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, just kind of give a personal example with that is, and I want to make sure I explain this properly, because here at the gym, we value every single number, right? Which we do, full on. I remember, like, when we first opened, that every person that, that may have had something come up, like if that person was moving, right, was moving like to another state or whatever, or somebody got like injured, or whatever, and they had to like either
not here because we're the best gym that our members don't get injuries. Okay.
Facts.
Disclaimer.
Or if they got injured outside, not here, but. I just, in that moment, like, my stress and my worry level of them, like, oh my God, like, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Are they going to like pause membership? Are they going to cancel? Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, in those cases, like, I would still, like, the stress that I felt, like, for example, somebody was moving to like Seattle or something like that. And like, the stress that I had in that moment was like, oh my God, like, now this person's going to need to cancel because they're going to move to Seattle. But it's like, in my head, I was worried about, like, the gym's numbers and all that. And obviously, being in, like, where Devin and I in our positions, that we obviously want to grow the community, right? That was my main goal, was like to keep growing our community and stay strong. But the worry of losing one person because of the circumstances that they had to move, that weighed a lot to me, or at least like the way my thought process was like, I think way blown out of proportion. Like, the care is there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Of course. And like, but just, I think the way I was stressed out about it before was like overboard, in the sense of, one, I can't stop somebody from moving, especially that they got an upgrade in their living situation. It's like, I was happy for them, you know what I mean? But I was like, it was out of my control.
Right.
So that 5 by 5 rule, it's like, definitely something that I learned and implemented like later on, like as I matured, that it's like, I was so worried about it, like in like those 5 minutes in it, essentially. It's like, in 5 years, like it wasn't gonna matter to me for me to stress out with that magnitude, because like,
right.
You know what I mean, that person may come back in the future. We're gonna keep getting new members, and it's not like we're gonna lose touch. We still wish everybody luck, and we check in on them here and there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
It's like, if I didn't see it in that moment, that in 5 years, that amount of stress that I put on myself in that moment, like, oh my God, is not worth it.
No, definitely. And I mean, that goes for, any business owner. Like, you have to realize that losing a client, losing a member, losing a project, whatever the case is in your business, like, it's natural, right? You're not going to, keep 100 people, 100% of the people that you have from when you started to the day, you close your doors or sell your business or whatever. So that turnover rate, it's a real thing. And you have to realize that that's part of the process. But if you're dwelling on the losses, you're taking time away from basically bringing in new people, right? So that stress and that worry that, Nick was talking about, luckily it didn't have a negative effect, but it just as well could have, if he allowed that stress of someone canceling to not affect the next shift or the next day. Every person that he came in, he was trying to, overboard with and overcare with, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're being too much with
it affected like how I'm just normally am, and how like it actually hindered me from Like
but I would
performing
say,
at my
but I would say it didn't. What I'm saying is like I didn't.
yeah
No,
yeah.
I didn't see. Maybe you felt it, but I didn't see a hindrance at the time, right? What?
I don't know. I was just like, I appreciate that.
No, like
You know what
so,
I mean?
but like, and believe me, I get the stress, and I mean, from like the personal training that I would do before our gym and stuff, like it was the same thing. So I knew the worries and I knew the feeling that you were having. I mean, we talked about it, multiple times then too, but it's one of those things that we also talked about is like if you let those little moments that aren't going to last in 5 years or even in a year or even in a month, right, weigh so much now, it starts to have not only just a psychological effect on how you perform, but also it can have a physical effect on how your body is reacting, right? From, your sleep patterns. Are you going to get an efficient sleep if you're going to bed stressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously as an entrepreneur, you're going to be stressed, but if you're stressing about everything, every little thing, it's like now you have to realize that your recovery and your body's time to decompress and recharge and all that kind of stuff is now being basically sacrificed. So now your next day coming in, you're not going to be at your A game. So now your stresses almost compound because every little thing feels like it's the end of the world. But also that just anxiousness of, is someone else going to cancel today? It's like when you worry about that, you have to think, like we talked about this before, when you think about opportunities, your brain sees opportunities. When you think in the negative sense and you are looking essentially for the next person to text you that they're going to cancel, now every little thing is going to be geared around that, right? So you have to realize that there's a ripple effect in this thought process, and that's why we thought it was so important to talk with you guys today. Has anyone hit in the comments yet?
Not yet.
Yo, y'all saw being little watchers from little peeping toms.
You're watching the mindset one, right?
No,
That for the comments. Oh, there's people on both.
but
That's what I was talking back and forth. But actually, like, I want to just like expand a little bit on what you said as far as like when it starts affecting your performance and you as a whole. It's like, for example, you've been consistent with your workouts and your nutrition and all that, especially if you guys are on one of our elite challenges. So let's just say like your car breaks down, right? And then your schedule for the day is already, your car breaks down early in the morning, right? And then like, your schedule for the day is packed. Now you're worried because then it's like, okay, my car is broken. I need to get it to the shop, get it looked at, and then the finances of it, and now everything else is thrown off. That doesn't, now with that immense stress at the moment, it's going to throw off one, your mood for the day, which affects obviously your overall health. And two, it's like what tends to happen to most people is like they just throw everything out the window. Like, okay, then I'm just not going to go to the gym today. Yeah. And then it's like you're going to like fuck around and just like eat whatever you want because like I can't make it to the gym today. And then it's like like you said, like a ripple effect of negativity because it's like in the moment you're so stressed out and worried about that one thing. One, in 5 years you're going to get your car fixed. I'm sure between that time you should get it fixed at some point, but it's not going to matter then. And it's like we should we should practice like and creating that habit of when things like that, especially things that are unforeseen, instead of worrying and stressing, to kind of break things down. Okay, what can I do about it? Like, what are the solutions that I can come up with? Between the time of how am I going to get to the gym? How am I going to pick up the kids from school? Even with me having to handle like this thing that came up. You know what I mean? Like just getting in that that habit of not concentrating so much on the negativity, the negative thing that happened, but it's like, okay, so that happened. What now? What can I do to, instead of me having to worry about the problem, let me concentrate on finding a solution for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. Like in the comments, guys, make sure I want to hear a time that you worried or you were stressing for a duration of time over something that you later found out didn't even matter that much. What was a time that you had those stresses and overcame them, or had that realization that you shouldn't have spent that much time stressing?
Yeah, tell us your worries and stresses.
But like going into like what Nick's kind of saying is like, because I really think it's a solid point too. It's like you have two avenues of mindset at the time. You have the fixed mindset, you have the growth mindset, and basically you have the positive, you have the negative, and you're thinking of, let's say, positive mindset, being you're prepping for an upcoming meeting, right? You're being proactive about it. You're a little stressed about it. But that's fine because you're prepping. You're like, I got this. Like, I'm going to be prepared. Boom. the negative side to it, or the unproductive worry of that same mindset would be, oh my goodness, what are they going to think about this presentation, and what are they going to think about, my suit? What are they, and then all of a sudden you start worrying about all these what ifs, and what are they going to think about everything, little thing. It's like, I guarantee they don't give a shit. They just want to see the information that you're supposed to give, right? And like the same thing when Nick and I had the nutritional talk here, it was like we could have worried about every little informational thing that we were going to say and do, and how we dressed, and are people going to care that we have chairs set up and not these elite lounge whole thing. It's like, dude, no, like, let's just give the information, like, let's try to help people, and let's just prepare for that. And then afterwards, if people have comments or feedback, then we take that and we adjust for next time.
Yeah.
You live and you learn. You can't know all the outcomes that are going to happen, but you cross the bridges as they come. Someone gives you feedback, you take that feedback for what it is, and if it's valuable feedback, then use it next time. Don't worry about trying to figure out what the feedback's going to be before you even do it. Mm-hmm. Just use it for next time. And that's even how we built the gym and continue to, improve the gym, is like, we don't know every little thing that someone's going to feel or say. It's like, as they address it or as they present it, we take it and then we analyze it. Is it something worth trying to fix, or is that just a cool feedback? And but that's not really what the avenue we're gonna go, right? And you can take it for what it is. So you have to realize that there's a productive thought process and an unproductive thought process, and so you just got to make sure that you're being productive in your thought process by just preparing for outcomes. Like, if you're gonna have a big purchase, if you're gonna buy something, let's say house, or our boy just went to Hawaii, and that's why he left me high and dry while he was wet and in the sun. But it was one of those things where, like, there was planning done before it. Was Nick stressed about going to Hawaii? Probably
100%.
but it was one of those things where we had the talk of, like, look, I get it, you're gonna be stressed because the business is is still running, but, like, I got it. Like, this is what we're planning for. So we prepped, and then was I worried about it? No, because we already had put a plan in place, right? And, like, even for Nick, to get him to not worry about it and not even focus on the business, like, I changed the passwords on things and told him, I texted him, I'm not going to give it to him until he gets back.
And see, like, when I was in that moment, I was worried, I was stressed. I was like, damn, like, what am I going to do? What can I do? You know what I mean? And then at some point where I was forced to it, thanks. I realized, like, me worrying about this right now, everything is fine. It's not going to matter, like, later on, and there's a solution to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's like, then you have to take into consideration that moment. Like, what is going to matter more? Like, the one little thing that you could have solved at the gym, even though I could have solved it in 5 minutes, but you were able to solve it 5 minutes faster because I was doing something else. Or in 5 years, your trip with your fiance, in Hawaii, while we were launching the business that we're launching and growing a business as fast as we're growing, is that time going to matter more in 5 years? Yeah. So that's the only reason that, in my opinion, as, like, a friend, and we're friends and business partners. Like, we have those talks and we split those talks, down the middle, and I would give us a pat on the back for being able to do that, because when it's business, we talk business, and then all of a sudden we start shooting the shit afterwards. But it was one of those things where, as a friend and as a business partner, like, I saw the importance of it, even though he may not have. And this is what's important about having an accountability system and that network of people that can hold you accountable, but also be your support system. So where I saw he was trying to help when I got it, I appreciated that help, but I was like, dude, that I saw what his 5-year more important thing should be. And that was why I basically took away his access in the time being, right? And I know he would do the same thing if the roles were reversed. So it wasn't like I did it because I had to say. It's like, this was purely a friend thing. He could have done the same thing to me if I was on a trip, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, hey, man, I'm forcing you to just enjoy the moment, right? So that's one of those things. But has anyone hopped in the comments yet, or are they also being peeping toms?
Well, Pat, this is your page. Patty said, I feel that's why exercise helps with all that. So
yeah, very true.
Well, that's a great, accountability. I guess that's a form of accountability and support. It's like having an outlet, because obviously, I think where Patty's coming from on this one is, kind of external stresses outside of the gym, right? If you're worried about or stressed out about things that are going on, in your personal life, and just things that may be out of your control, or there's like something that you're waiting on or whatever. It's like coming to the gym and exercising and releasing your endorphins and stuff like that. It's like it's a form of a release for you to not have to worry about it at that moment, which is great because when you think about it, it's like actually since your brain got to shut off on stressing so much and you're distracted and you're feeling good because your body's moving. Now afterwards, if you come back to the problem may still be there, but your perspective of things is probably going to be different. You're going to be thinking a little bit more clearly, and you're probably going to realize like certain options that you didn't think of right before you worked out. So that's a great comment from Patty of like using, like Devin said, accountability or you know extensions of I
An
forgot the
outlet,
term.
like,
yeah, an outlet. That's what I
right.
was
So
thinking.
yeah, so I think Patty like was going into like how working out can relieve stress, and it is true. You just can't let your stress bleed into your workout because at the end of the day, you're there to work out. Geraldine said when members are signing up for the challenge and they say they're already worried about if they can be consistent and what if they have events, when in reality, if you want it, then you'll figure it out 100%. And then she did a bunch of laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, and then dead.
That's what she was doing earlier when she was working out.
But it's true, right? Like, because I heard this from like the few people I heard you guys signing up and stuff, and people already start trying to think of all the what ifs, and they try to basically give themselves an out before they already do it. And so even when I was here for the last 2 weeks with the members, I would have conversations with people, and then I was like, "Are you going to come in tomorrow?" And they're like, "Well, I'm going to try." And I was like, "All right, well, let's rephrase that. Take out the first word, say it again." And they're like, "I'm gonna." Or the last word, I was like, and they're like, "I'm gonna." I was like, "Okay, cool. See you tomorrow."
Yeah.
And it's like you got to realize when you use certain words, you're telling yourself, your subconscious, like you're giving yourself an out. So when you say, "I'm going to try," or "I maybe," and all those kind of things, like you're giving yourself an out. If you just say, "I'm gonna do it," then do it. Yes, I'll be there. Be there, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you start to think about all the what ifs and all the worries, and you give yourself a little bit of leniency, you're naturally going to want to lean towards that leniency and that easy route, because who naturally just always goes the hard way, right? It's a constant like what's the word? It's a constant like action that you have to know you're taking.
Mm-hmm. Conscious.
Yeah, it's a conscious, action every single time. It's going to suck. You don't want to do it, but you still do it anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Naturally, your body's going to want to go the stressless way, the easy way, the comfortable way, but you are consciously taking the hard way because it's going to improve you. Right? But if you're always worrying about, and these are the unproductive thoughts that we're talking about. If you're always worrying about I have this event coming up and this event, well, what happens if this and that? It's like, fuck, dude. I was like, that's at week 10. Like, let's cross that bridge when you get there. I was like, I promise there's a solution.
Yeah, it's because we're wired like that. Like we're wired to take the easy route, like you said. Like we're wired to do what is comfortable. We're not the first thing that the first thing that actually what we think about isn't the first thing that we don't think about is that we lean towards is what's going to challenge me or what's going to kind of put me in an uncomfortable situation automatically. In anything, I think there's like a science behind it, like when we're born or something like that. I forgot what it was, but there was like a proven thing where like as soon as we're born, like we're automatically like always leaning towards what is comfortable, what is not hard, because that's what we're accustomed to. Right. And that fact of changing, and the part of the change is like choosing the hard thing, and it's like that, like you said, that conscious decision and making that conscious action of let me do what is not easy. Let me do what is different. But because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Not what I want to do.
Right. No, and I mean, you just got to think about like what can you change and what are unchangeables, right? You can't change the fact that you got a flat tire while you're driving on the freeway. But what you can change is how you respond to the situation of getting the flat tire, right? Just like, I think it was like episode like 70 or 72 or something like that. I only know that because I was looking up episodes earlier. But it's the episode that that I talk about the E plus R equals O.
Hero.
Yeah, it's basically the events, the result, and then the outcome. The events are unchangeable. They're the things that happen to you on the day. They're the stresses. They're the obstacles. They're the conflicts. The conversations that you have. Your response, that's our response to those events, equals the outcome, which that outcome is an event for someone else or something else, right? So you have to realize that every response that you have to the events that are happening in your life are the outcomes that are events in other people's lives. And do you want to have a positive event in someone else's life and a positive footprint in someone's day, or are you trying to have a negative imprint on someone's day? Because one conversation for you, even though you may be able to, frame in and frame out of your bad mood and and basically switch gears, they may not be able to, right? So you might have just ruined their whole day, or made them feel bad and self-conscious, whatever the case is. But it was all because of one response to one event, and that led to this outcome that was blown out of proportion. Yeah. Right? So you have to figure, like, what can you change and what can't you change. Focus on the things that you can change, and if you can't change something right now but you can change it tomorrow, then change it tomorrow. Focus on it tomorrow. Set a note and worry about it then, because then you can cross the bridge then.
I just want to touch a little and like.
Well, you want to touch what?
On what G said.
You said touch and you wanted this.
No, but like I just kind of want to press a little bit on the. Okay, I need to choose my words wisely. But go just a little bit on what G said about kind of like what some people were saying about, like, they were worried about events coming up on them being on challenge. We gotta, like, immediately when we say that we have to. It's a practice. It's not easy. You know what I mean? It's like we were just saying, it's a conscious thing where you gotta, when you notice that you say something that is already negative, or you're worried about something, like things of that nature, it's like stop yourself and just think. I want you to say it in your head again. Say what you just said in your head at least 3 to 5 times, and then actually think about it like if it's gonna make sense. You're on an accountability time frame. You're an accountability challenge with a time frame on it because you're trying to attain a goal, right? And then you're worried and you're stressed, and that you're bringing that problem much bigger than it is, especially with these kind of situations. Because it's like, I mean, this is just me coming from me, but it's like, why are you worried about that? You know what I mean? Because, like, let's think about this. Your accountability that you guys, for the challenge that you guys signed up for, is to better yourself, to accomplish a goal. Now what you're worried about, on the other side of that, is like an event, right? Or a party or whatever that's in like 4 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. Is that party going to matter in 5 years and later down the line? Or is what your actions with you already signing up for this accountability thing is what's going to matter more 5 years later down the road? You know what I mean? Because, like, you're working on your health and you're working to be a better version of yourself within this time frame. So why are we, like, so concentrated about some one single event that's actually not conducive, that's not going to be productive to your well-being? You know what I mean? Like,
I think that they're not even, like, when they talk, let's say the party aspect, it's not that they're worried about the party. It's what they're allowed to do at the party, right? Their worries aren't about can I go to the party? Fuck yeah, you're a grown up. Go to the party. It's like, I was going to Vegas. Fucking go to Vegas. You're 21. Like, you're a big boy, big girl. Like, fucking do it. But then they're worried that now, I can't drink and get wasted and, eat shit food and all that kind of stuff because I'm on this challenge. Well, yeah, aren't you trying to live a healthier life anyways? So every single time you go to a party, do you need to drink? Every time you go to a party or you go to, let's say, Vegas or something, do you need to eat shit food, or are there healthier options? Right? So I'm not saying that you can't eat out, but now this can be a time for you to build the habits of looking for the healthier alternatives instead of eating or drinking a fucking, what's it called? A yard fucking thing. Those big ass drinks. People walk around the strip.
Oh, yeah. Fat Tuesday?
Fat Tuesday. What was it? Yard? I think. Oh, it's from Yard House.
Oh, I don't know.
I knew there was a drink. But you have to realize that you just have to reframe your questions and reframe your worries, right? You just have to look at the same situation and start to try to find the habit building or the self-improvement aspect of it. What is this event or what is this thing going to teach me, and how am I going to grow from it? When I go to this party and I don't drink, you're just now I'm proving myself every time I go to a party, I don't have to get drunk. Now, every time I go to a party, I know that I can eat before, or I can eat there and only eat the healthier things, or whatever the case is. But there's always something that you can take from it. What is the lesson that you're extracting from every event that you're doing, right? So I think that's a huge aspect that people need to, focus on, is that you see a worry, you see a problem, and it's like you can look at it for what it is at face value, or you can look for the lesson. You can look for that golden nugget in it. But if you're always so worried about the what ifs and, what if this and what if that and what if so-and-so doesn't like my hair, it's like, who the fuck cares? Yeah. It's like, well, what if it doesn't happen? Right? What if you're like, what if it doesn't work out the way I wanted it to? But what if it works out better than you could ever imagine? Right? We could play this game back and forth. Right? So don't focus on the what ifs, just focus on the things that are actually presented to you in reality, in real time, and overcome ones that are obstacles and reframe the ones that are obstacles into looking for the lesson and the growth.
And then it's weird, or it's funny that like most of the time, like sometimes, like this, like that cliche saying that people, when people say like, oh, I was worried about this, but it's funny how like it just worked out that way, or it ended up working out after all in the end. You know what I mean? It's like you were worried about something, and then like when that event or that situation comes up, it actually just worked itself out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so was that time frame of you worrying and stressing, like, was that really worth it?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like G says, like there's always going to be, thank you G for hopping in the comments. I see there's other people watching that aren't in the comments. Again, stop being peeping toms and hop in those comments. But she said that there's always going to be temptations or events in your life, and you're going to get to choose whether you want to, or what you want to do in order to stay on track, right? Yard House, she gave us the answer, Yard House. But the what ifs are always going to hold you back. And yeah, 100%. There's always going to be temptations. There's always going to be a party. There's always going to be a celebration or a vacation or whatever the case is. And it's how you choose to handle the situation at the time. Are you going to take the productive route, the self-improving route, or are you going to go to your natural, comfortable, this is what I always do because I'm here, and let it be, and then never grow from it, right? So you have to realize that you can think about all the what ifs and stuff like that, or you can just choose to take the route that's going to be conducive to your end result.
Yeah, that when we ask ourselves what if, and then when you think of a certain what if scenario, and then your brain goes, and like, well, I'm not going to use us as an example because our brains go, phew. But like, you're thinking about, oh, what if this, and then what if this, what if this. The amount of time that you spend thinking what if, you gotta, if your mindset was just, kind of retrained our mindset to think more productively, more solution wise, it's like you could have probably came up with this, found a better option or a better solution to that already. Yeah. It's like we're wasting time thinking what if, you know what I mean? There's too much overthinking and thought process behind it, when like half the time, if not more than half the time, it's what the action is what matters.
Right.
Just you gotta go through it to get through it. We're putting down a shirt.
No, we're not.
Okay.
But I will say there is a time and place for what ifs. And what I mean by that is what ifs can be productive if you take action on the what if. Mm-hmm. Like Nick hates it if I say what if, because he knows that there's going to be something behind it that we're going to try. And for example, like he just came back the other day and we were sitting in the back office, like talking. And then I was literally staring at like one of the back walls, and I was like, hey, what if we did this and this? And then all of a sudden I was like, damn, but what if we did this? And Nick said, oh, fuck. And then I was like, actually, you know what? I'm just going to look up to see like the pricing on both, and then we'll just go from there. Right. And that's what now we're doing. The what ifs, it allows your mind to expand, but you have to make sure it's what ifs that are, possibilities and opportunities and potential. So yeah, you can always just sit there and also think of like all the what ifs and all the possibilities, but then if you don't take any action on them, then they're always just going to be what ifs. So what ifs have got us to this point, I will say that. And there has been some what ifs that were an opportunity that definitely were not a good one, right? And we found out that it was a mistake, and then it was like, okay, well, what if we try this way? And then we tried it that way and it worked. And sometimes that second way didn't work. And then it was like, okay, well, what if this way works? And then again, third try, and then the third one worked. So you have to be willing to take the risk and not worry about the outcome necessarily. Like, you basically plan for the worst and hope for the best, but you take action and then you just deal with the outcome and then you adjust accordingly. If you don't know what the next step is because you don't know what the outcome is, then you can never adjust accordingly. And this is what I was talking to one of the franchisees about, is like, what is fear? What is anxiety based off of, right? It's based off of the unknown. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what the next step is after the step that you see in front of you. So you start to get worried about it. You start to get fearful. You start to get, anxious about it. But that's why you either, one, do some research, two, connect with someone that knows and has already walked that path and let them be your guiding light on that path, or three, fucking jump and find out. It's like, sometimes you don't know if a pool is cold or hot until you jump in,
And it's usually better when you just jump in.
I mean, yeah.
Just saying. So and then to go off the what if thing, it's like we kind of concentrate on like, oh, what if I do this and then this negative thing happens, or what if I do this and it doesn't work out? The better question is, what if I don't? What if I don't and I don't accomplish it? What if I don't do this and I miss out? What if I don't do this and I just missed an opportunity, or I didn't, what if I don't and it's like I don't fulfill what I was going after? To me, that's like more of a realizing question. Like, don't let your life go by thinking like, full of regrets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I want to feed off that before you tangent, because I know we go tangent. So before, I don't want to cut you off because I know there's a solid point. Because I think that's so important, that what you said is, what if I don't do this? What if it doesn't work out? You have to realize that can't hold you back from taking action on it either. If we launch this gym and it's not successful, what if, right? If we launch this gym, what if? It's like, okay, well, we did the what if, but realizing that your outcome, or that, hey, if we launch this gym and let's say no members signed up on the first day, then what if no members sign up? Then that could either hold you back from launching the gym, or you could be like, well, we opened the gym and then no members signed up. So then what we're going to do is we're going to try to do one of four options, right? And then we'll try one, right? That's the what if. All right, cool. But what if we try that first option and it doesn't work? Well, then you could be like, oh man, well then we're a failure. No, you fucking try option two. What if this one works? What if this one works? It's like, it's like, that game where they have the three cups and then they have the ball or something under it and they fucking, right? It's like, what happens if you pick cup one and there's no ball? Pick cup two, no ball. Pick cup three, oh, ball.
Exactly.
So I think that's important. Just kind of feed off of like what you're saying, is like realizing that the what ifs can be crucial because it can help you strategize, but don't over strategize. Realize that sometimes you need to adjust your course off of the actions, because if you over strategize and you try to take into account all the what ifs, you're never going to find out all of them. I promise you, because some things you just don't know yet. You don't know what you don't know. And once that one unknown comes up, then you're going to panic because you thought you had a bulletproof plan, right? So realize that, you can have a couple options, but then realize that you have to have some room for the unknown.
And I think with that, like, I think sometimes, like, as long as your decision and your actions are, are in line with the right path, it's like missing out on that no regrets thing. From your example, it's like, what if like the first day no one signs up, right? And that may hinder you or hold you back from actually taking the action to do that, right? So if the first day, before you even try the different options, no one signs up, what if the second day like 10 people sign up, but then you quit right before, you didn't even try the first day? You just missed out on getting all those positives and like reaping the benefits on that second day. Like, I think too, like, just building that courage and like, not having that regret of missing something out on that negative what if, like, oh, what if I don't and I fail? It's like, yeah, but you don't know if you do try it and if you do take that step forward, it's like, you don't know what's behind that other door. You know what I mean? Like, if you, and like you said, the first cup, your first day, there's no ball there, just keep going. You know what I mean? Like, because you don't know the next the next step that you might take or a different option that you might take could be the thing that's exactly what you need or exactly what you wanted. But you're not going to know just thinking what if. You got to do it. Like,
I mean, the best cure for worrying and the best cure for like the stress of the unknown is just take action, find out. You know,
fuck
it's
around and find out.
yeah. Sometimes you just have to. You know, it's like you don't know what's going to happen if X, but you know that X is an opportunity for you to hit your goal. Then open the door, right? And if the door doesn't open, then find a window, kind of thing. But realizing that, are you going to regret never attempting to open that door? And are you gonna always be that person that quotes that one time I was going to do this and one time I was going. It's like no one gives a fuck what you were going to do, and you were going to launch a business and you were going to be a fitness model and you're going to do this. And it's like awesome. Well, I was going to go to the moon when I was fucking 3. No one cares. Are we just saying things that don't matter today or what? So it's like realize that people only really care about what you've done and what you're trying to do, but you can't be worried about what they think, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that knows the effort that you're putting in. You're the only one that knows the amount of things that you're sacrificing to accomplish your goal. So if other people are having negative feedback and telling you to, it's not going to work for you, you can't do that. It's like you're the only one that knows if you're going to really push for it and make it a success or make it an actual thing. Because at the end of the day, if you keep finding a different way to try to achieve it, eventually you're going to fucking hit gold and you're going to find a way if you really want it that bad. But if you're always thinking about the what ifs, or if you're letting outside influences kind of sway you from that, then again, you're going to end up going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda, never cuts it.
Yeah. So, is there any more in the comments?
Nope, not yet. I don't know if some people missed your question, but let us know. Let us know any of you guys' worries, previous worries that you or problems that you may have had, and then later kind of realize that. How was the question? I was trying to
what was a fear or what was an anxiety that you had about a given event, a given moment in your life that now looking back on it, it was insignificant into the amount of weight you were putting on yourself at the time, right? And James, no, I'm not doing that. Wants us to do that with some random ass kind of stretch. Not as dumb. Sorry, man. You have any questions on mindset or anything like that, or finish later, got you. But that's dumb, man.
So I mean, kind of just because G dropped some comments earlier, and appreciate you, G. But just to kind of hopefully this helps you a little bit. Remember when G said about her being scared or worried about doing the powerlifting competition, which I still think you should definitely do, G. We believe in you. So think about the worry that you're currently feeling about, what was it, like being afraid to fail or not being able to compete or anything like that. It's like, if you think about it, like what actions are you taking though, towards overcoming that worry? You know what I mean? And like tangible steps that are going to put you a step forward in attaining your powerlifting competition. You know what I mean? You're not going to know until you try, or until you actually put yourself in that position, not just wondering, oh, what if I can't complete a lift, or what if I fail on the lift, or whatever. It's like, but what if you don't?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think, again, like the worries that you may have now, maybe it's something that you're practicing, being very specific. Like, what if you're practicing a lift at the gym right now, right? And you're not able to just perform it right now at this moment. You're just gonna give up. You just got to keep working towards it, and you know what I mean. Like, build up that confidence and like pretty much like the tools that you need to be able to accomplish it. But thinking about like, oh, what if I don't do it right, or what if I can't do it, isn't, those worries aren't going to matter like later on, because once you have put that enough time in between, and it's like at a certain point you're going to be able to complete it. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to overcome those worries and problems, and once you do, and you're on that later point, you're going to look back and think, oh, I was worried about those things at the moment, but now it's been solved already. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of, again, that regret thing, not hindering yourself from being able to accomplish what you want to and what you're trying to get to, just because of current, overthinking stresses that may come up at the moment.
Yeah. No, G said that her becoming one of our trainers would have never been a thought, and that it would have been a thought, and she never thought she'd be working with us. And at one time that made her a bit scared, and and she still did it, right? I mean, she saw the opportunity. She's made huge progress and stuff, and it's like she took the opportunity, even though she was fearful of how are other people going to take it and stuff. But now she's grown into a trainer that everyone loves, right? She's always been a trainer that she's been someone that everyone loves and appreciates, but now she has that self-confidence knowing that she can do the things that we believe in her. That's why we hired her, right? So I think it's important to realize that sometimes you put limitations on what you can actually achieve and the obstacles that are faced in front of you, when in reality those obstacles are presented in front of you because you are meant to do them and grow stronger by doing them, right? You're forged through the fire, right? You have to realize that you have to get uncomfortable to grow. If you only do things that are comfortable and only do things that are not scary or not, don't make you anxious or stressed, then again, you're never going to go anywhere worth value in your mind. And then you're always going to be living life off the what ifs, right? You have to be willing to take the risk and have to be willing to risk failing essentially and it not working out one time and not working out the second time, the third time, and then it does, right? But the main thing is that you keep trying regardless of what the first outcome is. If you give up after the first outcome, you'll never know what your true potential was, right? And I mean, it goes for anything in life. You have to realize that your self-limiting beliefs of your capabilities are the only thing that's holding you back.
Like one of my growth, uh, just hopefully this helps you guys in some way, shape, or form in anything that you guys are doing or facing. For me, like I used to be, like like I still am to a sense, like an overthinker, and I overanalyze, and like what I mean. I still have those like in the back of my head, but I think now
Elaborate on what you mean, though. I know what you mean. What do you mean by what are you over analyzing?
everything, like every action that I would take, especially when we open the gym, like am I doing everything right, and like in every move that you and I both did, you know, uh, right in that moment, or big picture stuff, like I would overthink of like, oh, what if this doesn't work out, or what if this happens, oh shit, what if this fucks up, you know what I mean? But I took that to it was like back then it was like to a magnitude of like where it would constantly overstress me to where like it froze me, where like overthinking so much that I didn't end up doing anything, or I wasn't like performing to my optimum level, because it's like I was just like stuck there again, like what I said earlier, exploring all the what if avenues instead of I mean, now I do it, but now I, instead of just taking action towards like what in that moment is, in my perspective, is the best choice or the best option, right?
Mm-hmm.
I lost my train of thought there, but uh, but but now it's, I think the way I kind of, and it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of effort, constant repetition of me talking to myself that the only thing that I got comfortable with is being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I am now, and it's worked for me like so far, that internally everything that I analyze, everything, I'm just like, I'm comfortable with putting myself in uncomfortable situations, not knowing the answer immediately, or like the things that I may be worried about, or stressed about, or like thinking what if. It's like now I'm comfortable just going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like because to me it was more of a problem of being stuck, frozen, not doing anything, rather than just do it. If, like we said earlier, like if you make a mistake, then you find option B, then you learn from that lesson, and that's how you keep moving forward. But
Right.
to me, it's like, again, like it's very, very hard, but it is also very doable. You know what I mean? With full intent, if we just practice and make it a habit to make the hard decisions and get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because life is uncomfortable. All the situations are uncomfortable. But once you get, I know it sounds confusing, but it's like when you're comfortable being in those like in that position, in that like state of mind of like, okay, let me just figure this out. Let me see how I can maneuver around this and like get to a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Was the most productive things for me in every aspect of my life. Honestly, in business, in the gym, personal life, friendship, relationship, all of it.
Yeah. I mean, we used to have those talks like going into that is like, I remember like you would get frozen and then me and you would like have a talk because like I would get frustrated. I'm like, dude, just make a decision. And then you're just like, yeah, but what if I was like, you're in my decision. You're the choice you make versus the choice I make. I don't know the answer either. Like I'm shooting blind here too. Right. But it was like, you have the same thing. And then what if this, and then you'd come back with what if this. I was like, then we figure the next thing out. We try again. I was like, and we would have the talks. Like there was plenty of times that the decision I made, because at that time, especially in like the first few months of this opening, like you would want me to answer it. And then turns out my decision wasn't the right decision. And then I would have to be like, hey man, so that thing that we did or whatever we purchased, yeah, that actually isn't going to work. Like that was $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, that is pretty much just a wash. And then, so we got to actually do this and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, fuck, my bad. And then you're like, oh no, it's all good. Right. And so like you were willing to realize that it's okay. But when it came into like being you and being self, it was like, you weren't willing to take those risks yet. Now it's a whole different story. And it's like, we figured it out together. And that's the cool thing is like in a support system or in a partnership or even in your relationship, you have to realize that both people have strengths in different situations and you can both get uncomfortable, but someone's going to always naturally be okay with getting more uncomfortable in certain areas and the other person in other areas. So then you guys can lean on each other and, basically conquer the strengths. And that's, basically what that has allowed us to do. But at the same time, realizing that if something happened to one person, you're going to have to do it all, right? And we've had those conversations before, and it's one of those things where you have to be willing to get uncomfortable, even if you don't want to, or even if, it's not something that's naturally, you're not naturally an extrovert and you have to go talk, right? Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You stutter? It's like I stutter. Sometimes I just normally talk. So my brain just keeps it going. And then all of a sudden I realize I'm not even talking about the same thing anymore, right? So it's like, what's the worst going to happen? You learn. Like next time, prepare better notes. Do bullet points instead of paragraphs. Like, you just adjust.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Kim. We got a couple comments. Cheryl said, fall down 7 times, get up 8. That's what I'm talking about. No, that's exactly.
Such random numbers. That was like yours the other week. You take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And I was like, I explain.
But no, she's right. She's
100%. 100%.
It doesn't matter how many times you fall, because like it's one of my favorite sayings. It's like, it's my own saying, but it's like when you get down there, if you fall, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna stay down there? You're gonna let like life or whatever, you gotta kick the shit out of you and you're gonna stay down there? No, you gotta get up because you gotta keep going. So the things that like our minds were worried about falling, if you fall within those worries or the stresses or those what ifs, now what? What action are you gonna take? You're gonna stay down there? No, you get up. Mm-hmm. Like Rocky. It doesn't matter how many punches. Doesn't matter how many punches you take, as long as you keep moving forward. I think that's that.
I don't think that's a quote.
Boy, you get what I'm saying. Kim said, people are afraid of being vulnerable and uncomfortable, but it's the only way we can grow and learn.
1000%. Like you have to have that humility within yourself to realize that you don't know everything and you don't have the answers to everything, and you're not your best version yet, because self-improvement's an everlasting journey, right? So you can always get better. You can always learn new things, but you have to be willing to get vulnerable, at least with yourself, and admit to yourself that you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah. Like your best version is yet to come. Like the worries and stresses and all that stuff are hindering you from actually being the person that you need to be, your best version, and like the self that you need, so that when you are looking back on it, it's like you can't look back on it if you're stuck behind it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
A better version of you is tomorrow.
Ooh. I like that.
Good too. I just thought right now.
Cheryl said, "Falling down is an action. Staying down is a choice." Cheryl with the
bam, bam, bam.
Dang, that's a good one. Just
Yeah.
like that water cuts, like the water cuts through rock. Not something about consistency. You reposted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good one. That's a good one.
That's just nature, physics.
Okay. And
I'm messing with you.
I should have known that. I just saw a bunch of
No, I'm
waterfalls.
messing with you.
No, I
Yeah.
know, but no, that's very true. Like even falling down, failing is an action, but
What-
you just stay down there or what you do afterwards, it is completely up to you.
Yep.
She said that's my mantra now.
That's like, what can you change? What can't you change? You can't change the fact that you fell down, but you can change the fact that you're down right now, right? You know, are you gonna let life trample over you, or are you gonna get up and be, part of the walking herd?
Yeah. Sometimes, like, I know there's many different types of worries and stresses and failures that come along, but that's life. Honestly, I know it may get a little aggressive, but we just need a good push sometimes if you need an outside source or an accountability to tell you to get the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best thing is like your circle should be basically telling you to keep going. If you're around people that are just giving you're around yes men or yes women or whatever, but if you're around people that are just being like, no, it's okay, and just babying you and stuff, like you realize that you need to have that one friend that's not gonna put up with your shit, right? And yeah, they'll listen to your problems, and then they'll give you the now what.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it's like my car just blew up. Okay, now what? Right, it's like awesome. The world didn't end. The world is still moving. What are we doing? What's next?
Time is moving, so should we?
Yep.
Someone said that.
I know, it's crazy. But with that being said, guys, we appreciate you guys. We love y'all. Honestly, thank you guys for those that did hop in the comments. Don't be scared to hop in those comments. There is no dumb comments. Kind of. But there's no dumb comments, and we do appreciate you guys for tuning in and supporting the Mindset Cafe and us doing this live. I mean, we do it live because we want to interact with you guys, realize that. So make sure you guys do tell a friend, like when we go live, whether it's on a Friday, whether it's on a Saturday, because yes, we do it on Fridays, but if we're adapting like last week, sometimes it'll be on a Saturday or a Sunday, but we'll always let you guys know, and make sure you guys do tell a friend, right? We're spending our time because we want to engage and help you guys. Otherwise, we could always just record them and post them later. But that's not the purpose of it, right? So make sure you guys are sharing the message and helping us grow, because we're not out here, promoting it any other way than you guys. So besides that,
see y'all next time.
Love y'all. Peace.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to